This rhythm is actually one of my personal favorites. You'll hear it a lot. Most commonly, I think, is probably in Eric Clapton's version of I'm Tore Down, or Freddie King's version. It's not actually, it's a blues in C, but instead of actually playing a C chord and an F chord and a G chord, we're going to outline the chords with notes from within the chord. In particular, we're going to play the lowest root note, and then the root note that's up an octave, and then the flatted seventh, because remember in a seventh chord you have a root, third, fifth, and flatted seventh. And the other note that we're going to play is the fifth. So I have my root, root, flatted seventh, fifth. And you speed it up a little bit, and it kind of goes like this. Okay? Now, a couple of things, technically speaking, about this. First is you want to make sure you use alternate picking. So I'm going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And then when I go down to the F, I use the same thing. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. It's the same thing all the time. On the G, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay? So you have the same pattern, and I hear this in tons of different songs. This happens to be used over, C7, G7, and F7, but you could even use it over a minor chord. And you can actually reverse the order of the notes. So for example, let's say you had a kind of, chugging along blues in A minor, you could actually use the same thing. And it would work just fine over that. Or in a more major sound. The reason that it works for either is because the third has been left out. We're not playing that third there that would make it either major or minor. If it was major, we would have the major third, and for minor, we'd have the minor third. Since we have neither, this riff works over both, which means it's great. You can use it just about anywhere. Okay, so we're going to start off with a whole time through the 12-bar blues form using that pattern. Over C, over F, over G. Then we come to a break or a stop, and these are very common in blues. And the first one that I'm going to do uses a little C7, and then it goes to an F and back to a C7. Okay? I'm not even going to bother to, once again, I'm not going to play the whole F chord. I'm going to leave off the root down here on the 5th string. So all I have to do is play my C7, and then my F, and then back to my C7. It's a piece of cake. Okay? Then it'll finish out through the 12-bar blues form, and the next time through it will have another stop. This time using this C7, or rather this shape. I don't play the whole thing. Sometimes I only play this much of it. But it's this C7 chord here that we did way back in the second rhythm example. And then it slides up a half step. There's that half step slide we talked about. So there's your break. It's really pretty straightforward and pretty simple. Okay? And then once again it finishes out a 12-bar form. You'll notice that these breaks always are during where the 1 chord would be. And in this particular example, you might notice that the second set of breaks is actually longer than the 4 bars that the 1 chord is supposed to go. And this is just one of those variations that you sometimes see. So I wanted to make it obvious to you. We say this is a long one, meaning instead of the first 4 bars being 4 bars of 1, we're going to actually stretch it out to 8 bars. So if somebody says, this is a song and it's got a long 1, expect the 1 chord to go for 8 bars instead of for 4 bars right off the top. Okay? So we come around, like I said, after those second breaks, we come around through the 4 and back to the 1 and then the 5 and then the 4, and then we have a cool little ending, commonly called a Basie ending. This comes from the old Count Basie days, and it's starting from the C, I go up to the 7th fret on the 5th string, 8, 9, 10. And then on the 4th string, 7, 9, and 10. So the whole thing, from the 5, it sounds like this. And then usually you hit the chord right after it. So it's a real cool little ending. And it's also real common. So if you're on a jam and nobody can decide how to end something, you can just yell out to do a Basie ending, and everybody should do basically the same thing. So that's that. That's pretty much the whole thing. Let's now play it along with the slow jam track, and you can see how it goes.